Hi, welcome back to the Business Career College video series. This is Jason Watt, and we're going to spend the next 10 minutes or so looking at the various Canada Pension Plan survivors and death benefits. Now, we're not going to look at benefits for kids just yet. We're going to put that in a separate video. So we're looking at the CPP survivors and death benefits. So these are benefits paid to those who are left behind when a CPP contributor dies. Now, the first thing we have to look at then is what is a CPP contributor for this purpose? So we do have a very specific set of rules to define the eligibility for Canada Pension Plan. So what we're looking for here is that we have somebody who has contributed for at least 3 years. So we need to have somebody who has 3 years of contributions, or if they've been in Canada or contributing to Canada Pension Plan for more than 10 years. So if they've lived in Canada for more than 10 years, then they have to have more than 1/3 of contributions, or of their contributory period where they've actually contributed, or more than 10 years. So I know the math's a little tricky to follow here. I'll give you an example. So let's say that we have somebody who is age 30 and came to Canada, let's say at age 26. So this person dies at age 30, unfortunately, and we would look at that and we would say, okay, from 18 to 30, that's 13 years. 13 is obviously more than 10. That puts us in the second category. So then the question we have here is, did they contribute for more than 10 years? No, they didn't. Did they contribute for more than 1/3 of their contributory period? So they contributed for the years 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. That's 5 years. 5 out of 13 would put them over that 1/3. They would qualify. If that were only 4 out of 13, if they had come to Canada age 27, for example, then they would have 4 out of 13, and that would be less than 1/3. Here they would not qualify. Okay, so once we know that they qualify, there are 2 sets of Canada Pension Plan benefits here. The first is a lump sum death benefit. And the lump sum death benefit is a maximum of $2,500, but not everybody gets $2,500. The actual calculation is 6 times what your projected retirement benefit would be. So 6 times your monthly retirement benefit. So most people today do qualify for the full $2,500, but there are occasionally people who have, maybe in the case of this person over here, relatively low contributions, and they might qualify for less than the full $2,500. This amount is really designed to help with the funeral. So it's going to be paid to the estate initially. If there's no estate, then it's going to go to the party who is handling the funeral arrangements in most cases. So then we have the survivor's benefit. The survivor's benefit's a little bit more complex. Not everybody gets it. So this is going to be for the spouse of a disabled CPP contributor, or sorry, deceased CPP contributor. This is a spouse or common law partner, and we're using the federal definition of a common law partner here, which is that they've lived together for more than 12 months in a conjugal relationship, or they're living together in a conjugal relationship and raising a child together. So there are really 4 different categories for this survivor's benefit, and it depends on who you leave behind. So we're going to look at the person who is left behind. Their benefit is based on the amount of benefit the person who died would have left. So we have 4 different categories. If this person is age 65 or greater, then they would get 60% of their deceased partner's benefit. However, there's a big restriction here. And the restriction is that this still only takes them to my survivors, so only up to the survivor's CPP maximum. So if you have somebody who's already maxed out on their CPP and they lose a spouse, they're not getting anything here. This only takes them up to their possible maximum. So if you've got a couple who retired together, who both contributed fully to Canada Pension Plan through their working years, there's not going to be a survivor's benefit there. Then we have somebody who is between 45 to 64, not yet 65, and there's a second group that fits in here, and this is under the age of 45, but meeting one of two criteria, and that is they're raising a child together, so under 45 with kids, or under 45 and this person themselves is disabled, meets the CPP criteria for disabled. And now what we're going to have is a flat dollar amount, and we're going to see that flat dollar amount again in a moment. And similar to what you saw if you watched the disability video already, then a percentage, and that percentage is 37.5% of the deceased benefit. So we would have to do the calculation, figure out what their benefit would have been at age 65, take 37.5% of that, and add the flat dollar amount. As of 2013, that flat dollar amount is just shy of $177. It's actually $176.95, but 177 and 37.5% is sufficient for our purposes. And then we have another group of people. So now we're going to look at people who are under 45 and there are no kids, and this person's also not disabled. So it's the same benefit here. We're still going to do the same flat amount plus the 37.5%, but now it's going to be prorated downwards. So we take that and we're going to knock off 1/120th per month that this person is under the age of 45. So you die, you leave behind a 40-year-old spouse, for example. Well, we would say 40-year-old spouse, that's 5 years early. 5 years times, and you can do the math here, I'm sure this is not too difficult, 5 years times 12 months, that's 60 months. And so you would take off 60 120ths. So if you leave behind a 40-year-old survivor, then 60 120ths is half. That person is leaving behind half of this flat amount plus 37.5%. So we're going to just look at how much younger than 45 that person is. And then our last category of people, and if you carry through this math here, you've got this figured out already. So we're leaving behind somebody who's under 35, not disabled, and no kids. And here there's going to be no benefit. Now, in the bottom three cases, in each of the bottom three cases, once the survivor gets to age 65, then a benefit starts. So there is a benefit available at age 65. Okay, now whatever benefit you do have, remember, as with all CPP benefits, that it's going to be taxable and it's going to be indexed to inflation. And in a later video, we're also going to look at the benefits available for the child of a deceased CPP contributor. There's an additional amount of benefit that's payable there. So we see what's payable to the spouse here in forms of the lump sum benefit, which is relatively minor. But when we start to look over here at the amount of benefits, so flat dollar amount at 177 plus 37.5%, you're normally looking at a benefit between about $400 and $600 a month. That does become worthwhile, at least in terms of planning for the potential of that person's death. I hope that helps to understand CPP survivors and death benefits. A little bit complicated. There's some rules right at the beginning here that we certainly have to be aware of. For the most part, financial services exams aren't going to expect you to memorize all of these details, but it is useful to have a good level of comprehension, and especially to know what happens over 65 and under 35 when you leave behind somebody without kids. Enjoy your studies. Thank you very kindly.